Hi guys, thank you for tuning in. To avoid any technical issues, and because I'm so not a morning person, I opted to record this presentation so that it will be available later for anyone after the summit, and I will be available for any follow-up questions, for any meetings, pretty much for the rest of the day of the conference, and afterwards you can find my email and contact information at the end of the presentation. My name is Ayman. I'm a director of business development here at Xsolla. We are a business engine for developers and publishers to help them fund, launch, monetize, and scale their games globally. Me personally, I have more than 10 years of experience in the gaming industry. My career spans from BD, development, licensing, funding for various game publishers and developers in Europe and the US. Also, I used to be cool once. I used to be one of the top DPS hunters in a game called World of Warcraft back in the day. So today we are going to talk about funding. In particular, our take on how to help developers to bridge the gap between the developers and investors. This would be a good update for anyone who is already familiar with Xsolla Funding Club, and also a good welcome and introduction for those of you who are not. It's not a surprise to anyone that video games industry is more than just a booming entertainment business. Video games are reshaping the way we interact with the world. The gaming industry inspires the innovation and constantly pushes boundaries. For example, we recently hosted a video game conference, Game Developers Carnival, that some of you might have attended, that was completely hosted inside the game with various activities and competitions like racing and flying, and the most important activity at any conference, which is networking, meeting potential partners, and new and potential partners. Well, in streaming, gamers are broadcasting from their basements and drawing huge audiences. Video games has changed the definition of sports, so that we now see teenage competitors becoming more popular than professional athletes. So it's not a surprise that video games have generated more revenue than in the entertainment business. Well, statistically, with gaming dominating both business and culture, the future of gaming is pretty much bright, and 2020 is still, honestly, still looking good despite the obvious challenges that we all are facing today. Actually, now more than ever, I think that the gaming is at the heart of the entertainment industry. And well, the growth is, of course, in the short term, is pretty much attributed to the lockdown measures, but also a good thing to notice is that, for example, PC ecosystem moved to digital much faster than console did. So for PC gaming in particular, distribution is not even an issue. Across all segments, PC, console, and mobile, it's predicted that more than half of the revenue will come from markets such as China and the US. But however, I do believe that the growth usually comes from the emerging markets and regions like Latin America, where a lot of games are being developed and published, Asia Pacific, and India for the upcoming future. Well, we're here to talk about funding. So what is Xsolla Funding Club? It's a video game industry focused investment network that is designed to help studios reach their development goals through capital investment, obviously. It's a matchmaking system between the investor and the game developers. We created this so that the developers can focus on what they can do best, which is make great games for all of us to enjoy. We soft launched in August last year, and since then we've successfully onboarded around 50 well, exactly 50 investors to this date. Well, from the developer's perspective, we have worked with 322 applications so far and have matched 78, which is a 24% success rate in matchmaking, but which is a great number. But actually today I wanted to focus a little bit on the not so successful applications. So what are the reasons why the matches have not been made? Well, first and foremost is, of course, the incomplete applications. Developers maybe not spending enough time on them and slapdash submitting them. The second most popular reason of not for us to not being able to match with the right investor is, of course, the build, where there's a game build, it's a playable vertical, a build that's not working functionally properly. We failed to launch it, and we, of course, are not going to share it with the investors if the build is not working. And the pitch deck. Sometimes the vision doesn't match the capabilities of what the developers claiming that they can do. So we screen these applications pretty thoroughly before we send them and present them to the investors. Well, what do game developers and publishers actually do want? Now, first and foremost, it's always a playable build. A prototype, vertical slice, demo, first playable, you can call it however. The most important part is that the investors, they want to have a hands-on experience with the game. They want to take it to a test drive. The second, what is usually the most requested by the investors and publishers, is some kind of a video of the gameplay. It should be short and sweet. We always suggest that it show something that's might not be in the description, something extra, something a little bit more that you have in your game that you would like to highlight. That's a great place to do that in your video submission. And of course, the pitch deck. These are graded in the importance factor. So pitch deck is very important as well. The usual things that you need to have there: the pitch, the finances, whatever budgets or timelines you have, please do share them there. Your inspirations are always welcome. It doesn't necessarily need to be your comparable titles and the list of your potential competitors for your game, but it also can include your inspiration. That's always received very well. And of course, unique selling points. Put your best foot forward, show your game from the unique perspective as much as you can. Well, to sum it all up, it's a not so secret key to success. The ATM approach that I recently learned that term: get their attention, get their time, and you will get their money. So absolutely use that. Very short kind of a description of how to approach your pitch is: do get their attention through press, through influencers, through other investors, through recommendations, through the publishers that you talk to. You will get their time by providing a lot of the information that we talked about on the previous slide in a good and organized manner. And at the end of the day, that's your best chance to get their money. This is a quick slide for those of you, for posterity, basically for those of you who like numbers, who like charts. These are the numbers and the data from our own system, basically out of these 322 applications that we have. These are the most popular genres, monetization types, and of course the budgets. So that's a good place for reference if you're curious. Well, what's in it for our developers and investors for the Xsolla Funding Club? Well, it's actually pretty obvious, and apart from the obvious reasons for the developers of getting in front of as many investors as they can, one thing to note here is the co-investment opportunities. The way that Xsolla Funding Club is set up, that allows you to get several investors that are interested in your game actually invest together. These deals are not as common as we'd like them to be, but in the foreseeable future, we think that this could be a good place to to start. The practical resources. We have a lot of great long-term plans of how we are going to help educate some of the indie developers who might be looking for funds for the very first time, is how to construct your pitch deck. We will share a pitch deck templates. We have a lot of research that we've done for the grants of the other ways that you can also try to find the first finances to get your project from the ground level up. And of course, Xsolla Funding Club participation, all the work that we do with the developers is completely free. We do not charge anything upfront or post any deals. It's free altogether. For the investors though, now the benefits are a little bit different. For them, it's more of a catered and high quality content that they get specifically curated by Xsolla for them. So our investors stay on board with the different kind of application where they share what are they looking for. Some of our investors are publishers, so it's a good way to find both. And for these guys, it's just that they get very specific and limited number of applications that specifically match their investment criteria. It's for them the opportunity to share, of course, because when it's a flash deal of an investor who's interested and looking for co-investment opportunities, we share that with our investors as well. They save a lot of time, they save a lot of resources and money, so that's always good. And of course, we do not charge anything from our investors as well for the participation of being in the club. Well, here, I always like to address this at the same time when we talk about the developers and the investors, because it is the elephant in the room, and let's address that. So if it's all free and good, what's in it for Xsolla? Well, first and foremost, we want to generate goodwill with the developers and investor communities. We are running a long game here, and we're uniquely in a way positioned because we're the business engine, but at the same time, we're on the front lines with the consumers, the players, the end users of the product. It is in our best interest to build that good trust and good and have our developers and our investor communities have great experience with Xsolla. A secondary kind of a side note is that, of course, all of our developers are free to roam and explore the entire suite of tools and services that Xsolla has. We do have a lot. They're pretty, some of them are pretty complicated. We're not selling pancakes here. We're helping make a game a success, so that involves a lot of different things. And we want our developers to explore these options with us at no pressure, and at the same time having a good experience with our company and our team. And the third, that comes directly from our CEO. He strongly believes that great games come from any unexpected place, and we are here, our mission is to lend these games a hand, help them be made and be successful. Because without, if the game is not there, there's not much thing that Xsolla main suite tools and services can actually do for the game, but when the games get there, we can actually help a lot afterwards. Well, kind of we're getting into the conclusion of this talk. We call it My Crystal Ball. This is all done, of course, with a grain of salt and joke. Anyone trying to predict the future is kind of, in a way, silly, but we can make some educated guesses. So what do we know? What's good? The game revenue, playtime, viewing is all the way up. Digital is currently dominating, so that's always good for all the players of our industry, so that's great. WHO, the fickle organization who says bad things about video games first, but now they are now endorsing video games and making them sound most socially acceptable, as if we didn't know that before. Well, the bad though, realistically, world economy is in global recession. We will get affected to some degree. Absolutely. And yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind. The deals, if you are not currently already in progress in negotiations with your investor, the deals do take longer. For the last couple of months, that has been what we've noticed tremendously, is that deals take much longer to actually close. And the reason why it takes longer to close is because due diligence is extreme. It was pretty hard before, of course, and nowadays it's extremely difficult. There is no investor that I know of who would have invested big dollar into a AAA project without actually having a sit down with the studio executives, visiting the office, seeing how the game studio operates. So building all that trust virtually takes much longer. Games are, of course, being delayed. Submissions take longer to review. And yes, it is possible investors are being more risk averse than ever. Well, out of anything bad, actually a lot of opportunities arise. And we do know that video games are an essential form of entertainment. Content has always been king, and content is king, and we are getting into potentially into a desert zone where we will not have enough content, and money still needs to go somewhere. A lot of funds, they are set up the way that they can't sit on their funds for a long time, forever. They need to spend and invest the funds that they are in charge of. So the money that's out there, it still needs to land in different projects. The new business models always arrive, especially because our industry is so vibrant and moves so quickly. A lot of new business models emerge, different kinds of monetization models become more of a success and more appropriate. So that's always good for our industry. And the talented teams who actually know how to finish a project, finish a game, they're always going to be in demand for sure. But the most importantly here that I kind of want to point out as well is that teams that can actually finish the project, that's great. But teams that can finish the project and run the game as a business, that is going to be key. These guys are going to be in the most demand. So if you're not, try to educate yourselves in that regard as well, because that's very good to show that you're capable of and are interested in doing that. And of course, the emerging markets are coming up. So because time is running fast, the questions, I'm available pretty much every day, all day through email. You can reach out to me via LinkedIn, drop me a line. For this particular summit, I believe we're using Meet to Match for meeting system. So please drop me a line. We can talk more. If you have any specific questions that you'd like to discuss, if you have a game that you're looking for funds for, we can talk about that. If you're an investor that would like to join the club, we can talk as well. So thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of your afternoon, and I hope to see you later. Bye.